In 2019, one man spent $239 million on a single apartment, then flew home to one of his other 12 properties that same night. His name is Ken Griffin. He is the founder of Citadel. And that $239 million apartment at 220 Central Park South in Manhattan, a 23,000 square foot sky residence sitting above the treetops of Central Park, eye level with the entire Midtown skyline, is still the most expensive single residential sale in American history. But here's the part that makes that number even harder to process. By the time Griffin signed that check, he had already spent an estimated $1 billion buying properties across Manhattan, London, Miami, and Palm Beach. $1 billion, spent entirely on places to sleep, and the Manhattan penthouse is simply the one the rest of the world found out about. This is the world of luxury homes that only billionaires buy. And what these people are spending their money on will make everything you have ever considered expensive feel completely ordinary. Start with the house that stopped the entire Los Angeles real estate market in its tracks. Developer Niall Niami spent years building the One, a 105,000 square foot mansion at 944 Errol Way in Bel Air, with an original asking price of $500 million, a number that would have made it the most expensive listing in American history. The property had 21 bedrooms, 49 bathrooms, a 30-car garage, a 4-lane bowling alley, a 45-seat private IMAX theater, a nightclub, 5 swimming pools including a 400-foot infinity pool that stretches the entire length of the property, and a putting green sitting above one of the most valuable views in California. Every detail was designed to justify a price that had never been asked before for a private home anywhere in America. Then the debt collapsed, the construction costs overran, the project went bankrupt, and in March 2022, the One sold at auction for $126 million, less than a quarter of its original ask. The buyer got 49 bathrooms, a private IMAX theater, and a nightclub for what the ultra-luxury market now considers a bargain. In April 2025, a beachfront compound at 2200 Gordon Drive in Naples, Florida, sold for $133 million. The structure itself is only 8,846 square feet, which means the buyer paid approximately $15,035 per square foot, one of the highest per square foot prices ever recorded in American residential history. But the square footage was never the point. What the buyer actually paid $133 million for was the land underneath it, one of the largest beachfront parcels in the entire United States, sitting on a stretch of coastline that cannot be rezoned, cannot be expanded, and cannot ever be recreated. The house sitting on top of it was almost completely irrelevant. That same year, former Google CEO Eric Schmidt paid $110 million for Spelling Manor, a 56,500 square foot chateau in Holmby Hills, Los Angeles, originally commissioned by television producer Aaron Spelling in 1988. What Schmidt got for that price was 14 bedrooms, 27 bathrooms, a bowling alley, a doll museum, a beauty salon, 5 bars, a gym, a tennis court, and a swimming pool complex sitting behind walls that make the estate function less like a private home and more like a private village. The property had spent 2 years on the market, dropping from its original $155 million ask. At $110 million, people who track these numbers called it a steal. But nothing in America, Europe, or anywhere else on Earth compares to what Mukesh Ambani built in Mumbai. Antilia is a 27-story private residential skyscraper rising 570 feet above one of Mumbai's most expensive streets. Designed by Chicago architecture firm Perkins & Will and completed in 2010. The building contains approximately 400,000 square feet across floors that include 6 dedicated parking levels for Ambani's personal fleet of luxury vehicles, a private movie theater, multiple swimming pools, a ballroom, a 50-seat theater, a snow room that produces real artificial snowfall on demand in a city where the temperature barely ever drops, 3 helicopter pads on the roof, a full health center, a salon, and a garage accommodating 168 vehicles. The residential quarters require a permanent staff of approximately 600 people to operate every single day of the year. Annual maintenance costs alone are estimated to exceed $20 million, a number larger than the total purchase price of most luxury homes in secondary markets around the world. Ambani did not buy a home. He built a private city and gave it a single street address. In Malibu, the record for the most expensive sale in the city's history changed hands twice in less than 12 months. In 2023, Beyoncé and Jay-Z purchased a 30,000 square foot oceanfront mansion for $200 million, a brutalist concrete structure designed by Japanese architect Tadao Ando, whose residential commissions are so rare that the buildings he designs command prices that have almost nothing to do with their square footage and everything to do with the impossibility of getting another one. Then in June 2024, Oakley founder James Jannard paid $210 million for a waterfront Malibu estate, setting a new all-time record for the most expensive sale in Malibu's history. Oceanfront property on that stretch of California coast has risen more than 400% between 2005 and 2025. The Pacific Ocean is not producing new coastline, and the list of people who can spend $200 million on a beach house is growing faster than the beaches. In London's Nightsbridge, One Hyde Park was built for buyers whose primary requirement was not luxury. It was survival. Completed in 2011 and designed by Richard Rogers Partnership, the building was fitted with a security system originally engineered for government embassies, bullet-resistant glass rated to stop armor-piercing rounds, panic rooms with independent air supply and satellite communications, SAS-trained security teams occupying a dedicated suite on every single floor, biometric access control using both iris and fingerprint scanning at every entry point, a blast-protected underground car park, and a 24-hour concierge capable of procuring anything from private jets to museum-quality artwork within the same day. One apartment inside this building sold for $209 million. The buyers, largely from Russia, the Middle East, and Asia, were not purchasing square footage or a view. They were purchasing the certainty that nobody could get to them inside their own home. And then there is the property that no amount of money can ever recreate. Villa Leopolda on the French Riviera, a 50-acre estate in Villefranche-sur-Mer originally built for King Leopold II of Belgium in the early 1900s, is valued at approximately $750 million. Its gardens, developed over more than a century, contain specimen trees and Mediterranean landscaping so mature that replacing them from nursery stock would require 80 to 100 years of growth. No amount of money accelerates that timeline. Not $750 million, not $1 billion, not any number ever written on any check. Whoever owns Villa Leopolda owns something that time itself produced, and only time could rebuild. As of early 2026, analysts project the first $300 million American residential sale will happen before this decade ends. In 2025, every single one of the 10 largest American home transactions exceeded $100 million for the first time in history. The buyers are not slowing down. The properties are not becoming less scarce. The gap between these homes and everything else is not closing. It is widening every single year, without exception. If this took you inside a world most people never see, share it with someone who needs to understand what wealth looks like at its absolute limit. Subscribe for more stories from the edges of the world most of us will never enter. And tell me in the comments, which property shocked you the most? I read every single one.